the Danny Devito rule is that if you're ever like, man, is this guy a good guy? Or I guess he does bad things. Replace the actor for that character with Danny DeVito. And if you're then like, oh man, that guy's evil, that guy's a bad guy.
It's working for your Anakin argument, because I'm imagining Anakin being like...
That was what I was going to bring up. I was going to say, because the one I saw online, I'm not going to share. It wasn't an appropriate example, but like it was from a movie that definitely can't endorse. But Anakin, 100% is a real evil dude if you replace Hayden Christensen with Danny DeVito.
What are you doing, Master Skywalker?
He's so much
quiet,
more,
kid.
so much more evil.
All right, roll the intro.
Evening, officer. Is something wrong?
Don't worry, son. Routine traffic stop. We got reports of someone driving under the influence. You know anything about that?
Oh, wouldn't it be me? I'm only under one influence.
And what would that be?
The influence of Jesus.
It's time for Under the Influence.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Under the Influence, the official Christian Influence podcast. I'm your favorite co-host, Jude Crane, joined today by my brother,
Jerry Crane.
And his brother,
Levi Thiessen.
And his brother,
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young. Two different last names. Complicated relationship.
3 different last names.
Yeah,
No.
you dummy.
Yes.
Yeah, there's 3.
Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 2 of season 2. We're on a roll.
22.
What? And we're never going to stop. Yes, you will notice a fourth voice with us tonight, one that you've never heard before.
No, not on the podcast.
You're not just hearing
some of
voices.
you listening have heard this voice before, excuse me. But most of you listening probably, well, actually, no. There's quite a few people listening who know you from Fred Meyer.
That's true.
I realized that today when I was talking to Tim and Caden, and I was like, yeah, we've got somebody on the podcast today. And they're like, oh, who? And I was like, oh, it's an old buddy of mine. You probably don't know him. His name is Brice. And then both of them were like, yes, we know him.
I don't. Who's Tim?
Tim knows you through Carson.
Sorry,
Cut that. Attacking our
Tim
listeners.
knows you through Carson.
Oh, okay. Then I don't feel bad then.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I've never met Tim.
Okay.
Hi, Tim. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. And then Caden, you know Caden.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, oh yeah, you guys do know him. And like, yeah, we know him. Jeez. And they were all offended. And then they threw rocks at my head. But yes, but for the listener, somebody that most of you are not familiar with, our buddy Brice.
Yeah.
We all have had an opportunity to work with him in the past. Actually, there was a long period of time where I guess we didn't really talk very much. But then one day you reached out to me on, or not on Instagram, but you were like, hey, I saw, huh?
Oh, well, even before that, I called you.
Oh, well, then
Because
there
my
was.
truck got hit.
There was that.
I needed someone to rescue me.
Okay, that was so funny because, like, we, well, for a little bit of background, I guess we've known each other for
About 8 years.
like 8 years,
yeah.
right? And he worked at the ballpark. We've talked about it before on the podcast when my family, we ran all the food for a local baseball stadium. And I managed a lot of that for like 3 or 4 years until we stopped doing it. But yeah, it had been like a year or two since I hadn't done it.
Something like that.
And I
Maybe
just,
a year
yeah.
more. But
And I just looked down at my phone. I was driving at the time and I looked down at my phone and you had texted me and I was like, huh, that's interesting. Either this could be like, you know, one of those things where you don't see somebody for a while and they're like, hey, I've got this event coming up. I thought you would find interesting or whatever.
Pyramid
or
scheme.
A pyramid scheme.
I've got a great
right?
business opportunity.
Yeah,
for you
I've
to
got
invest in.
a great business opportunity. You just have to sell 300 phones and then everybody else that buys one has to sell 300 phones. Or I was like, you know, I don't know, like it could just be some random thing. And I looked at it and he was like, hey, I know we haven't talked in a while, but somebody hit my truck. did you just need me to like pick you up or
yeah,
something?
I needed you to pick me up and take me home. My wife and family was my family was in California. My mom and dad were up in Astoria, Seaside, something like that for a wedding.
That's right.
So I was like, who do I have? So I'm just going through my phone and I was like, Jerry.
And I gladly did it. No, it was fun. I mean, not for you. Your truck was destroyed. But
It's the same truck I'm driving right now. So
Oh,
it
it
wasn't,
is?
it wasn't
Oh,
destroyed
really?
enough.
it wasn't destroyed.
Wouldn't
But
even know.
I just
Looking
remember
at it
you
today.
being like, I don't know if I'm going to get, like any reimbursement or whatever, because the lady was like drunk out of her mind, right? Or
Oh,
something.
she was gone.
Yeah.
The officers said that her truck smelled like a brewery.
Yikes.
And that's before they had even done the field sobriety test on her.
Yikes. Well, at that point, is it even necessary?
Yeah.
You got to know the blood alcohol level, though. because of the
That's
charges.
true.
Yeah. They could
Can't
because
you
Because
just
they need to know
Yeah.
how hard they can charge her.
Do you have to take a field sobriety test, or can you?
You can
opt not to?
refuse, but then
Can they use that against you? Your action to
Probably.
refuse it?
I think they
They
can.
could probably say like he refused to field sobriety.
And
I don't
then
know.
they can
Why
take
are
you in
you
and
planning
tie
something?
you down and
Well,
jail.
I was thinking Brice and I haven't talked in a while. I'm not going to copy you by rescuing him from a hit and run, so maybe.
You're going to participate in the next hit and run.
I like it. Are you of age to drink?
No, it's
No.
a double whammy. He's
Double
getting hit
whammy.
with
Well,
2 charges.
Oh, okay. See, I'm thinking if we're going to recreate this, one of us needs to be toasted.
Yeah, it'll be me behind the wheel.
Perfect.
Makes
And
sense.
then I can run like the kids did in her truck as well.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, make it real sad.
I can't joke about this now. There are children involved.
Yeah, obviously, nothing that we're saying here is true. Well,
I
no,
don't plan to commit a hit and run. If I do in the future, it's
we do
entirely
not
coincidence,
endorse
especially if it's
underage
Brice.
drinking, and especially anybody behind the wheel having been drinking at all.
That's true.
Feel like we need a rainbow like PSA.
Yeah.
The more you know.
The reading rainbow sound right now.
Yeah.
Only
Don't
drive
do
under
this.
the influence of Jesus.
That's right.
Yes, well, that's what we're about, right?
Yeah.
Our whole show is about being under the influence of Jesus. I love saying it to people when I'm like, they're like, "Oh, what is your podcast called?" I'm like, "Under the Influence." 1, 2, 3 of Jesus. I mean, the show is just called Under the Influence, but the whole thing is
Yeah.
we promote being under
You
the
get
influence.
strange looks if you don't add.
You got to count to 3 though. Like,
Yeah.
Well-
it's about being under the influence
I mean,
of Jesus.
I wonder if that lady was doing a podcast of Under the Influence when she hit my truck.
But
Yeah.
with
She was
no
recording.
second title.
We've
Yes.
talked about this.
It's
We've
just
talked
under the
about
influence.
recording
Like, on the road.
Did we
Oh,
talk
that's
about that
right.
last
Yeah.
week?
Talking
We're
about
like-
recording while I'm on delivery.
Yeah, like being on the road recording. So maybe she was like, hey, "This is
Yeah, I
on the
bet that's-
road under the influence." I abandoned it real quickly.
Hey, let's, I'm an Italian woman now, I think. I can't tell.
Yeah,
Except they won't have to add in the cop sound effects.
That's true.
They'll already have
Yeah,
the
that's
cops.
true.
They'll even have sound effects
On
of
the tail.
3 cars getting hit.
Yeah.
That's true. Here they are.
yeah. We had to add that in post for Jude's on round with Jude thing,
segment.
which is probably one of my favorite little things we've done. No, what I was saying earlier is also, so then there was that happened. And then I drove you back to your house. And then again, a while we didn't talk. And then out of nowhere, you texted me, were like, "Hey, I think the link on your Instagram is broken." Because I saw that you stream on Twitch.
Yeah,
And I was like,
just,
what?
I was just scrolling through Instagram one day and something had popped up that you had done. And I was like, oh, let's look at Jerry's page. It's been
Yeah.
a while. And I was like, oh, he streams? Click. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Darn, guess I'm not watching.
Like, Jerry, your stream link keeps sending me to some guy in a cat outfit, and he's, is this you? Oh, it's broken.
That's broken.
Stream instantly goes down.
That's my old one. Hold on.
Yeah. So, if you stream and you need to know if your link is broken, I mean,
Just let me know.
Bryce is your guy.
I'll get you.
No, but my point was, I was telling somebody about how we were going to have you on the podcast today, and they were asking who you were, and I was kind of like describing like, you know, what your name is on the Discord and stuff, and then I was just kind of talking about like how you got involved, and I just thought it was cool because one of the ways you kind of got involved in the community now is by finding that, you know, and then hanging out at my streams pretty regularly. You're one of the most regular people in there. And then now, you know, you're on the Discord, like you're talking with people on there from time to time. I think you're in the prayer partners thing too, right? Which is super cool. That's one of our new things. I don't think we've talked about that on the podcast, but
I don't think we have.
that's one of the new things in the Discord right now is we're in our first season of prayer partners where, one of our newer admins, Mikey Noodles, who we've talked to or talked about
Wonderful
on the
guy.
podcast. Yep, many times. He's great. He started the Prayer Partners thing, and he, told people to sign up if they like, and if they sign up, then he randomly partners people up, and then you are supposed to, meet with them weekly or biweekly or like twice in the same week. That form of biweekly. And yeah,
Invisible callback. No one will know why that's funny, but
but you talk with them and then pray for them and pray with them. And it's supposed to be, because prayer is very important and very powerful, but also it's supposed to, connect people in the community more, right? Yeah. So Brice is a part of that. I'm a part of that. There's a few other people that are there, a part of that. And it's a pretty cool thing that we just started doing recently. But I was going to ask you, I don't know how that's gone for you. Has it been a good experience so far? Or?
Yeah, for the most part.
That's good.
The person that I got partnered with,
Horrible person.
No, it was hard for me at first because they're like 13.
Yeah.
I'm 31. There's such a big age difference.
you
there.
just
flip the numbers around.
hardly an age gap at all.
I think I'm gonna go back to 13 now and get rid of this belly and get back into sports. And but it was a little bit hard because I was like, they're not gonna be able to connect with me
Right.
as much as I can connect with them.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But I just had to get myself over that little mental block that I had, and it's going good.
Good. I think I didn't, that's one thing about the Discord thing that's, I guess, hard to, like with the prayer partners, for the most part, we don't know who everybody is. We've kind of done some due diligence, I think, in like reaching out to specific people so we know who they are before partnering them up. But I didn't know that person was 13. But that's a cool opportunity, I think, too,
if they're going through something, I could have already gone through it, and then I could help them through it that way,
I think that's a cool opportunity for you to maybe disciple them, right?
Yeah.
More so. And then who knows how it will go for you.
Yeah.
But I think we're coming up on the end of the first little prayer partner.
I think I
season.
signed up like a couple hours late to when he was putting everything together. Because I signed up and everything, and then I looked when he posted it all, and it's like, oh.
He must have already figured it out.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, nobody loves me.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
he's like, there's an odd number of people. I've got to pick one.
I was like, you know what? Levi doesn't need prayer.
he doesn't need any prayer.
Or he didn't want you praying with people.
That's probably more.
This guy's a liability.
Excuse me. I kind of lost my voice this weekend a little bit, so.
I did too. Yeah, I think I don't want to say it's the smoke because it feels like such a dumb thing.
No, it
But
kind of does happen.
It's all the smoking.
It's the
Oh, it could be the 12 packs I'm smoking. Yeah.
No, Oregon
not
is
in a
mostly on fire again right now, for those of you that don't know. So, and
Whether
we
or
are-
not we're in Oregon.
Right. Not to say that we're in Oregon. We could be,
But there are fires in Oregon.
right. And if we were, we'd probably be in the valley where a lot of the smoke kind of,
Yeah, where we live.
Hangs out.
Where all
Hangs
the
out
fires are converging.
where they all like to try and get, but never reach us. They never get
Except for that one time.
Don't tempt.
What do you mean?
Don't tempt the wildfires. They can't reach us. They didn't last year, and they won't this one.
Dude, wasn't that last year that like everything was on fire?
No, I
Was
think
it-
No,
I
that
think it
was
the year
that was
before.
2 years.
That's
It was
right.
I think it was
2000.
two
You're
years
right.
ago, yeah. The whole state
That was
fairgrounds was
terrifying.
filled with people.
Everybody was
'Cause the
evacuating
sky was,
to
like,
the state
red.
fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Like
And-
we were the evacuation point.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
all the fires were approaching.
That was
us.
the same year. You're right. It was because it was 2020. Like that was the whole thing. That was the same year that
The
we
world's
had.
on fire.
That was the beginning of like, or part of the beginning of like the whole COVID thing. And then that was the same year too where we had everything freeze over, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
the ice
the-
storm.
the
It was
ice
the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything happened that year.
Did something
Jeez.
political happen that year?
Something political?
I can't remember.
Yeah,
No.
No?
I don't.
There wasn't an
recall
election that year. I remember.
No,
I distinctly
for some
remember
reason we
going, "That's
skipped."
weird." There was no election this year.
It's crazy. It's a giant blank slate in my mind where I must have.
Kind of like a reset,
Yeah.
but a reset that's really big
Yeah.
or great, like the beginning of something. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. One might say a great reason.
A great reset.
But-
That's pretty great to me.
I also totaled my car that year.
Oh.
Talk
So
about a
Levi
great
had the worst
reset.
one. Yeah. I don't even know what we're talking about now. Oh, we were talking about Discord. And well, you know what? Great segue here. I was going to talk about it at the end of the show, but what's 14 minutes in? If you enjoy our show and you enjoy listening to our conversations and what the show is about, we think that you would enjoy our Discord. It's kind of the primary place for our community. We do have a Facebook page and a Twitter page, but they rarely get used. They get used by us, but they rarely get people right now. So if you want a place to discuss some of the stuff we discuss here on the show, or tell us what you love or what you hate about it.
Or if you want to play video games with other Christian people.
If you want to play video games with some celebrities like Levi and Jude, then get in the Discord. You can talk about the show there. There's a place for the Under the Influence people to go hang out and talk, or you can get involved like we talked about before, our prayer partners. We have weekly Bible studies, which we'd love to see more people at. Those are on Wednesdays at 7 Pacific time. But we've also got like Christian streamers and places to hang out and play video games. And pretty soon we're going to have another podcast, which is coming up very, very soon. Actually, by the time this episode comes out, it'll be like less than a week till that show is coming out. Not that we're confirming anything 23rd, but I mean, pretty soon.
I mean, it should already be in the public. Like,
it should already be public knowledge that it's coming out Friday the 23rd. Yeah.
When does this episode come out? I just want to seem like I'm. Hold on, wait, don't interrupt me.
Whoa, this guest is.
I've seen other people do this on the podcast, like bigger celebrities than you guys.
Right.
oh wow!
But they're like,
There's a few.
hey, when does this come out? I just need to know what I can and cannot talk about. I've had things in the works.
Right.
That's
like
right.
that your agent is telling you to.
Yeah, I just did a photo shoot for a company and I can't reveal that yet. Things like
This
that.
one it should be coming out the 21st.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
I've
just
got all
2
these
days
NDAs signed.
Yeah.
Like I said,
we got to make sure we have you sign that NDA before we leave. Actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is true.
But I'm pretty sure you're able to talk about it's a chainsaw company you're doing a photo shoot with, right? It's a very risque lumberjack thing.
Risque lumberjack chainsaw.
No. No. But yeah, I guess if that is important, 10 days from now, 21st, this one will come out.
Right.
It's episode 2 of the next season.
He's just feverishly scribbling down on a notepad, like, I can't say that, I can't say that.
Yeah.
Seems like I have another pencil. This one's dead already.
I wish we could record en route. I think that'd be so cool if it wasn't a huge liability.
Maybe either finale for season 2 or you did just mention liability. No, we won't do it.
Huge. One of us has to drive.
I did that thing where I blocked what you were saying out, and I was just like, I have something I need to say. Hurry up.
You could draw it. We could hook up the mic to the steering wheel
right in front of me.
and then every time that you turn,
it's like,
hey guys, we're going over here. Now we're going to the right.
You know that carpool karaoke?
Yeah.
James.
Oh
Corden.
yeah.
I actually saw something, and you guys could do this too, doing en route. They actually have the car towed, through town.
That would be really expensive.
It would be.
Or if I total another van.
Precaution.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
We could just get someone to do the route, and we're all in the back.
Wait,
of the
so
van.
do they have that guy in the front that's doing all the driving and looking back? He's just doing nothing.
Must be.
Well,
Carpool karaoke. The idea is that James Corden is driving.
Oh,
but the car is being towed.
Yeah.
It's actually.
So he's a liar.
Being towed.
yeah. So he,
We're calling out James Corden on our podcast.
James Corden, you dirty liar.
You need to come
Drive
on
the
this
car or
pod-
don't
come
do
on
the
this
show.
podcast
They
and
call
repent
us.
his
It's all a
sins.
joke.
What?
Oh, I said he needs to come on the show to repent his sins.
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Hey,
Come-
James Corden.
Hey, James Corden, if you want to be on Under
come
the Influence,
apologize.
as unfunny as I find you, you can.
Man.
Okay, well,
Hey, James Corden, if you would like to learn about our Lord and Savior, I'd love to have you on the podcast.
No, I would.
All right,
If
here
you want to
comes
be here to tell
defamation
jokes, then don't.
Then don't come on the
Then
podcast.
don't come on the
That's
podcast.
fine.
Don't come on the podcast.
Please.
It's not because we don't find you unfunny. It's because
It's because.
he's British.
Whoa.
Hey, they just went through something very traumatic.
This is true.
Did they?
Yeah, the queen just died.
The Queen just died.
Long live
She
the
did?
king.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess.
No, right.
No, she definitely did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
dead.
And now it's
It's finally a Welsh on
King
the throne.
I saw the headline,
Charles.
but
So you saw the headline and you're just like, oh, well, that don't matter.
every few
Must be
months
fake
it's like,
news.
is she dead? And so I just saw it and I was like, she's not dead.
No, yeah, she did
She is
finally
dead?
die.
Big Ben
She has died.
exploded.
It was like 2 days ago.
I mean, she was only like 96.
yeah,
But-
only.
Are we really sure?
There was
That's
this
true.
there was this Twitter account that I would every once in a while have in my feed. And it would be it's just the Queen Elizabeth updates, and it's just like still not dead, still not dead, still not dead, and it's just
Account deactivated.
The thing about the Queen that I find interesting is, okay, are you guys people that like follow the royal family and all that, like, and care at all?
Not really. No.
I couldn't imagine.
I
but
get
thought I'd
my
ask.
royal family news from my coworkers.
Okay.
I know bits and pieces because I like to read headlines, but I don't follow them.
I don't mean to offend any of our listeners if you do care, but if you do, why?
Well,
Here's my question. I get it. Like, some people like to follow certain celebrities and stuff.
Maybe our listeners are British.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Like, some people listening, we do know, apparently, we have a lot of listeners in the UK.
and Colombia,
and Canada.
2 different places.
But they have the same queen.
Colombia?
Sorry.
Colombia. Yeah,
I said
You say Colombia?
On
he
accident.
said Colombia,
British
and,
Columbia.
and Canada.
Yeah, not when I. Colombia has
You
the same
meant
queen.
just Colombia?
I accidentally said Colombia.
And then
I was
went,
thinking he actually meant like Colombia is in like South
British.
American countries.
yeah, I accidentally said
accidentally
Colombia.
said Colombia.
I meant Canada.
And
Cartels.
I just tuned it out.
All the cartels
Our
just
friends have
like
not-
having the big picture of the Queen. No.
No, what I was saying was, I understand like the following, like actors, actresses, like celebrities, and they're like a form of celebrity. But when specifically Americans are like following it, I'm like, why? I don't get it. Like when they're like, who do you think is going to be queen next? It's like, dude, they're not our queen anymore. Like, why do we care? Like, I don't know. I was just talking to somebody that was like super, super like, into it. And they were American. And I was like,
What was their
you're
name?
allowed to be into things like from other countries. That's not what I'm saying. I was like, but they were like, well, who do you think is going to be king now? Like, what's going to happen? And I was
Queen's
like,
son.
I don't know, but I do know it won't have any effect on us.
Well, it's not.
I mean,
going to be Meghan and whatever her husband's name is.
Meghan
Megan Thee
Markle
Stallion.
and
No,
Harry.
they're- she's never gonna touch.
Well, no,
What's her name? Hate her?
yeah,
what I
exactly.
heard.
They like
Yeah.
Meghan and Harry like separated themselves from the family.
They
thought
were
they
like
were
living
living
disowned or something, right? 'Cause he
Yeah.
married an American.
Basically,
He married the people who
But-
who rose up and stood up to them.
but what's funny is, so it should be Prince Charles becomes king, right?
He is becoming king.
Charles the First and Charles the Second, and now he's Charles the Third.
Wait.
King Charles the Third.
A third is becoming the king?
Yeah,
No.
Well, I care now.
Well, because the first and second aren't here, right? They passed away.
yeah. They're
Okay.
long.
I'm just saying,
But-
is the person who's about to be king a third?
Yes.
Then I care.
If once he becomes king,
One of my
it's
people.
King Charles.
There you go.
Ah,
king.
the third.
But what's funny about that, the other two King Charles both destroyed Parliament. They
That's
totally
hilarious.
ripped all power away from the Parliament and back onto the king.
the monarchy.
They like made
Yeah.
it a monarchy again?
Yeah, they
Okay.
every
Britain a
time
monarchy
that
again?
every time that
Interesting.
Charles took the throne,
kind of
he-
based.
yeah, he took down the Parliament.
Maybe I
So-
do care.
So do you think that
Will
that's going to
history
happen again?
repeat
No,
itself?
but I would love it
Probably.
to happen. It would be
Stay tuned for the
no,
next
no, no, no,
episode.
just to keep it up, and then all of like Britain just like falls into chaos.
You would love that to happen?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! You
That's
can't
horrible.
wish chaos upon all of
Well,
Oh,
it's
an
just-
entire country.
it's
Levi,
political
Levi, you need
chaos.
to apologize to them
kingdom.
now.
I'm
Did I say-
sorry
what'd I say?
that I'd like to see a king be a king and not just
Hey, I'd like
What
to.
a
It'd be
fake
cool to
puppet.
see a
Queen
king
puppet.
with power. Yeah, but probably not. Monarchies are bad in human hands.
well, they could be bad or they could be good.
Like communism could be good.
No. Communism just doesn't work.
Uh huh.
But if you have the right like ruler, like it can happen.
Yeah, I agree. Communism can work.
Well, I mean, like historically and biblically speaking, there have been good kings, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
And
but
there's also
But
been,
it's still kind of, unfortunately, a system that is obviously
Flawed.
inherently flawed.
well, yeah.
Because after the good king has to come another one who might not be good.
What system isn't flawed?
That's
some
true.
systems are more flawed.
But
than
some
others.
systems are.
We just talked about communism.
Some systems have, a fair amount of checks and balances, as much as that.
Yeah, dude,
say
let's
that
see him
phrase
blow
that
up
we-
Parliament and be a good king.
Well, not blow it up. Just
What?
Oh yeah, gunpowder's 5th of November.
Yeah. Remember, the 5th of
Gunpowders?
November. We've all seen V for Vendetta.
Great movie. Can't endorse it though.
No. Well,
Well,
It's pretty violent.
It's an
and-
objectively well-written movie.
well, as we all remember from the very first episode of this.
V for Vendetta?
No. Who I voice in this room. So.
The first episode? Oh, that's right. Wait, who voiced you?
No. I am the voice
Oh.
of the radicalized.
That's
American.
right. Yeah, the very first episode.
So, Brice, recently I was going, and it was after after the finale of the season. I was like, I want to see how much better our audio quality sounds. So I listened to like the first few minutes of our first episode, and then I was in the middle of it, and I just jumped to the middle of like episode 24. I was like, whoa, this gave me some new appreciation. I was like, wow, it gave me a little bit of a boost. I was like, we're actually doing pretty good. Our audio sounds good. I'm happy with it compared to what it was. Cool. The sunset looks beautiful right now. It's
I can see part of
absolutely,
it, yeah.
Oh,
it's
wow.
That is one
super
thing
red.
that I
I'll take a
Paint some
picture of it so I can
purples.
put it in the Discord for people so they know what we're talking about.
It's like cotton candy.
My phone froze for a second. And while I took the picture, I got a message
On the
from the Discord that just says sausage ? No. What was I saying? Oh, I was listening in the middle of episode 1 and then I jumped to the middle of the last episode. It sounded great. But while doing that, I found something that might be one of my favorite clips from the entire season. And it's like 6 minutes in to the first episode. And it's, we're talking about like what our plans for the podcast are and like what kind of things we might talk about. And Jude's doing kind of a bit and he's like, well, we're going to talk about some really hot topics. Like we're going to dive into debates and things that are really, really like adversarial and political and radical and fringe. And I'm like, yeah, that's why we have Levi here. And we kind of like laugh about it as if like, Levi's just the butt
How
of
did
the
I not
joke
catch
there.
that part?
Huh?
I said, how did I not catch that part?
Well, and then
Or I may
Levi
have just forgotten about it because I am old.
well, it's also been what? 6 months
6
since that?
years, 6 or 7
6
years.
years, yeah.
Yeah, it's been 6 years.
No, and then Levi goes, yep, that's why I'm here, to be the voice of the radicalized American. And I don't know why, but the way he says it is so
Part of it is funny because our mic quality was so not great. And it kind of sounds like Levi's just
It sounds
3 feet away from the table.
Yeah.
Like, that's me, the voice of the radicalized American.
I'll see if I can find it. I know I can. It'll just take me a second. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll find it so we can play it through the podcast.
How do you feel about monarchies, Bruce?
Bruce?
Hold on, let me go get my
You
evil
jerk.
twin. He has a
Bruce.
I'm a king.
I mean, it was all just because, like, I don't know. I mean, we do romanticize it a lot,
Yeah.
but like, it'd be cool to have like a king.
It would be cool. Like, it's kind of cool.
And this is also going to be like the first time that we have a king in like
in a long time. Well,
what is it?
Is it official that he is
4
king?
generations?
I think it's...
I mean, he's the next in line for the throne.
I don't know if it's official, but I think it's basically like, yeah.
Because of the
It's gonna
setup,
be
I don't
like-
think anyone else can be named because she's
No.
dead. And she would have to do that before she died, I thought.
Yeah.
So it goes to him.
He's next in line, so it should just go to him, but I don't know when he's going to be crowned or anything.
He's crowning.
But dude,
Don't they
this
have
is
to-
going to be the first
Don't
one.
they have to vote on that?
Huh?
Oh, wait, never mind. That's America.
That's America. Yeah, we get to vote.
Like we've got like video of like the coronation for Queen Elizabeth,
Oh, yeah.
but it was like horrible quality black
It's
and
100.
Well, what was it,
Well,
like
okay,
70
Because it was
years ago?
in 1920.
Yeah, I was like,
Like-
she's been in power office, whatever it's called over there.
Probably.
For like power is what I'm assuming. But
Yeah.
for like 70 something years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course it's gonna be horrible quality.
But like now we're gonna like this is gonna be like one of the first like coronations that's gonna be like fully
Yeah.
like 4K,
Regal.
3D.
4K. It's in 3D. Oh, the crown's gonna hit me in the
Catch the coronation at a theater near you. Smell-o-vision.
Give me just a second. I have to.
And when I say it'd be exciting to see a king, I don't mean just because like I want to see a king that like does do away with parliament and just goes full.
Yeah, and
monarchy.
just like become like
America.
because I think that monarchies are cool.
I mean, okay, the
I think it's
romanticized idea.
Yeah, romanticize
Like
because
the fantasy.
romanticized monarchy is so much better than romanticized like capitalism democracy.
Yeah, I'm willing
Like-
to say that.
Because everybody's like in love with their ruler. Not in a weird way, but I mean, like,
But like,
I think it's just easier to romanticize because there's less people involved.
maybe that's the truth.
You can have more characters who are like sufficient characters because you don't have to have as many. They can all kind of fit in their own little niche.
Okay. I'm going to have to pause our podcast recording here for a second so that I can make it so that we can all hear this.
Okay.
So we'll be right back.
And we're live.
And we're back, everybody. I wasn't able to do what I was trying to do, so we stopped the recording for nothing. Sorry, guy in the chair. You're going to have to deal with that. What I'm going to do is just, you know what? The listener can pretend they're here with us for a moment. I'll play this clip for you, Bryce.
I mean,
so you
isn't
can-
that
I
the
was going
whole
to say, or
idea?
they could just go back and watch it, listen to it themselves.
They can, but I
They
want to.
can, but
I
that's
don't want to
extra
give them
work
any
for them.
homework.
We want to put all of the work on the
Hey,
guy in the
school's
chair.
in session. You got to put homework on now.
That is true.
That's true. Well, they don't need extra homework from us. We need to be a place.
I don't know. Some of them do.
Yeah. Like who?
I'm sure there's some kids that
There
deserve
probably
it.
are. Let me see if I can. Yep, it's gonna work. So I clipped this already anyway, so this is perfect. I can play it.
Incredible.
This is just. It's like 6 minutes in, I think, into the first episode.
It's
and I
6
just,
minutes long.
This is
It
6
is.
minutes long. So buckle up, everybody. No, it's like 17 seconds. I just think it's funny.
No,
You have to
that's-
hear the way Levi says it.
Yeah, we want to find the most, fringe, radical people, right, and attract them to this.
Well, we want to put them in the spotlight.
We want to be the voices.
That's why we brought
of
the
millions.
Hello, that's why I'm here. The voice of the radicalized American.
Yes.
It's not that funny, but I think it's hilarious.
And we fixed him. He's no longer radicalized.
It's the disparity too, like Jude was saying, between the way like Jude and I were so much closer to the mic. And I remember when we were recording, because we had no idea what we were doing. Levi is
I'm just like
he was sitting.
I'm sitting like reclined in my chair.
So basically just like me right now, but not the mic.
But also a worse mic.
Yeah.
We
These
were also
mics
using
are
really
so
bad
much
mics.
better. We had one mic that
No, we had two. I thought that we were using
did.
two.
What I was saying is we had one mic that that like would go two directions, and then we just had another mic. And I think Jude had the nice one, and Levi and I were sharing the one that went in two directions. But Levi was just chilling, like way back here, and just like
I
I'm
was
the
so
voice-
much more comfortable sitting down than I am now, like later on.
oh, I thought you were gonna say I'm so much more comfortable sitting down than standing up.
I was going to say, are
I was
those
like-
people?
Yeah, you and me
What a
too,
stupid
pal.
thing.
No, like when we were originally recording it, and I was just like leaning back in my chair and being all relaxed. Now I have to like not do that.
Yeah.
Now that the spotlight's on me, let me adjust how I'm
Oh no,
sitting.
you're
We're just calling out.
And now that you sat up, I'm sitting back. All right, Bryce. We have a recurring segment with our guests.
Yep.
I'm sorry to do this to you. What was that sound?
That was a sound effect we added in post.
No, that was an incredibly
That
weird
was
sound
that
out
was
of your
definitely
mouth.
added in post.
No.
You went.
That's not what I did.
I don't know how you
Unless
did
it would
it.
have sounded like
the
that.
water drop thing. Really?
Yeah.
I don't-
Oh, the.
yeah,
Oh,
that
I
one?
can't do that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
I can make a pretty
You know-
convincing fart with my mouth.
Ew.
Yeah.
That's his.
I learned how to
talent
do that in
on
high
his
school.
Dating
Yeah.
resumes.
Yeah, Tinder. It's like I can fart with my mouth.
Did you also learn how to do that because Amy was doing it? in high
Farting with her
school?
mouth?
There's your shout out, Amy. I think she listens to the podcast.
About her farting from her mouth.
What? No. I'm talking about the little.
No, yeah.
drop thing.
That was because of people were trying to learn it in class.
And then she would do it all the time, and it was perfect, and nobody else could do it. And then I just went. You and I both just picked it up immediately.
Yeah.
And people were
I mean,
mad.
it took me like 4 tries, but
What a shame.
Well, it took me 5. Bryce, we have a recurring segment for our guests, and it's time for you to tell us a joke.
Perfect.
Go.
I already had this one locked and loaded. I don't.
Did
Well,
you?
that's not fair to the rest of the guests. They were all caught off guard. You listen to the show. You deserve it.
Exactly. All right. What is the first sport mentioned in the Bible?
Oh, no. I think it.
I'm
Dodgeball?
No.
you. UFC.
UFC.
You know, most people would actually think that because of Cain and Abel.
That's what I was thinking.
I was thinking you were
or
going
something
Cain and
similar
Abel.
to that. But that's,
Well,
that's,
I think
that's
I
incorrect
think
as
I know
well.
exactly
Incorrect
where
as
you're going,
What?
but I don't want to steal your thunder.
Okay.
Give a fake answer.
Oh, dodgeball.
Dodgeball, because when they would try to stone you.
Wrestling with Jacob and God.
Well, I'm trying to. What's the beginning of the Bible? I mean, let there be light. What sport?
You actually,
Peekaboo.
You actually almost had it. You actually said
Yeah, you actually did say it.
Yeah.
But
Well, I don't know.
it was peekaboo, right?
Close. Yeah. It was baseball. Genesis 1-1 in the big inning.
Oh my God. I think that's the first time we actually really laughed for once. Did we make
In the
Matt
big
tell us to-
inning?
Did we make Matt tell us? I think we've only done it to Byron.
Well,
Well, Byron's technically been the only guest besides me.
No,
No, we had one who didn't speak.
We
We
have
have
Matt.
Matt.
Guy.
We just ignored
Wow,
him.
that forgettable, huh?
Well, I feel bad. We ignored him almost the full podcast.
We did.
Matt? Yeah, we kind of.
He didn't really.
We're talking about Matt, like Jude's old.
My
high school-
old mentor.
No, Jude's old classmate.
What episode was that?
Like
I think
episode
one of the first
7
ones.
or 8.
It was. Yeah, it was like
It was fairly.
it was
early.
between like
Yeah.
6 or 8.
But Byron was on for episodes 2 and 3, and then we had him again on for the finale.
Mhm.
And Matt
And
was
then-
like, maybe it was like episode 5.
He came prepared to the finale with a joke, and I
And we
berated
totally
him about a
forgot
shrink
the
ray the whole
segment.
time.
After the show, Byron's like, I had like 4 jokes lined up for you guys.
felt
You
so
ask.
bad.
It's like, dude, why didn't you say something?
Oh no!
So now we're gonna try and make sure we ask everybody. So that was a good one, actually.
That was a good one. Yeah.
I would not. I love
We
how,
all
like,
went way more
You
dark.
were really close. You were
I'm
really
setting
close.
well, you said
You said in the
in the
beginning. God,
beginning.
you
God
Oh,
created
I
the-
did,
Yeah,
okay.
and so I was
And
just like,
it was just like,
I thought you were like tricking me because you're like, well, you were very close. Yeah, baseball. And I was like, oh wow, totally out of left field.
Well, I also think that's appropriate because of how we all met.
Yeah, that
well,
is true.
how all of you met.
Wow,
Let me
look
put
at
it
this
that way.
guy with the segues.
Wait, did you already know all of us before the ballpark?
No, but all you guys knew each other
Oh, that's
before
true.
the ballpark.
Well,
Well,
I didn't know Levi before the ballpark.
they were already working at the ballpark before I existed in their minds.
In our minds,
Yeah.
and before he existed. Period.
well, he's a test tube, baby.
Yeah, we grew Levi specifically in a lab
So
so that he could
you
work up in that
you didn't
hot
know
kitchen.
them before you worked at the baseball stadium?
No, I thought you guys. Oh, you worked there before
No,
WBCS?
I mean,
No,
we
no,
were
no,
at
no.
the
I was
stadium.
saying you guys worked. Didn't you guys work at the baseball stadium?
Yeah, that's
before?
what we're saying.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
You
Levi-
guys had worked
Levi
the
started
baseball
working at the
stadium. I started working after
after I started going to the school.
That's right.
Yeah, them being at the school,
Oh,
and
okay.
then I met them, and then
It was
found
like
the summer job.
after after our freshman year or whatever. I told a bunch of my classmates, hey, if you guys want jobs,
Child labor.
summer jobs, you know.
And then I was too young to do anything. For
You were?
the first half. Yeah,
Oh,
and your dad just had me running
because you had to be
around.
15 or something, right?
And I was 14.
Yeah. You had to be, by law, you had to be 15. So we just had you working, you know, underground where nobody could
not,
see you.
Not working, just
Not
I
working,
was
just shining
10 or
player
11.
shoes.
Pulling around the dolly, pretending to do work. Take this
You know,
box.
You know how
to
you
the
get
West.
around that rule? Being his son.
Yeah.
You can do, he can have
can
you
do
work.
anything.
Nepotism.
Yes.
Well, no, it's not nepotism. It's like
No, that
It's a
would be
form.
if he hired us only because we're his son.
Yeah.
Which,
that's just called getting an allowance.
Yeah,
You're gonna
what's
work
so-
for me.
Yeah.
what's so
Because I'm
bad
your
about
dad.
nepotism?
it's just chore.
Change my mind. Nepotism, not that bad.
I don't know if I can.
I thought you were saying that monarchies were bad.
That
literally
is not synonymous.
Well, keep all royalty. within
Keep
this
all
one
royalty-
family.
Royalty
In my-
can be a form of nepotism, sure. If you want to,
How is it not?
If you want to say that.
Hey, I'm gonna. You
Who's
are no
in
longer
charge?
the crowned prince. Now your brother's gonna be the crowned prince.
Yeah. I just mean when whatever, forget it. You're right. The whatever is nepotism.
There's so much nepotism. Sometimes they're like, not this son, but the other one, the second son.
Yeah.
I like him more.
Or there's so much nepotism. They're like, we don't want you to marry anybody but your sister.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's, and what would you say nepotism is good?
Nope. I never said that. I definitely never said that. Yep.
Oh, my dad, such a nepotist. Marrying my sister.
Gosh.
Wow.
There was something else I wanted to bring up. This is totally off of this topic, thank goodness. There's something I learned about on the internet, which, could be dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's we're going to use this word again, Jude, phenomenon called the Danny DeVito rule. And I bring this up because Danny DeVito has been a recurring character in our podcast, thanks to our resident guy in the chair who, shout out, he's right over there.
Right there. Hey,
go ahead, say something.
That's a guy.
Big man on campus over there.
Go ahead, say something. Guy in the chair. He just can't get that big gulp out of his mouth.
He accidentally superglued his lips shut. He was playing behind the laptop.
That's all right. Well, as long as he doesn't get his nostrils too, then he'll be fine. Oh, no, don't put that in your nose. Oh, whatever. No, what was I talking about?
Danny DeVito is a recurring character?
Yeah, because of him, Danny DeVito is such a recurring character. There's this idea online that you can take pretty much any character that or it's this idea where if you ever have to ask yourself, let me rephrase this.
Okay.
You know those characters where you're like, I think this guy's really cool. I think he's the good guy. And then somebody goes, that guy's not the good guy. He did this and he did this. Kind of like what we talked about Anakin that one time. Mm-hmm. But even more than that, the Danny DeVito rule is that if you're ever like, man, is this guy a good guy? Or I guess he does bad things. Replace the actor for that character with Danny DeVito. Mm-hmm. And if you're then like, oh man, that guy's evil. That guy's a bad guy.
It's working for your Anakin argument because I'm imagining Anakin being like.
That was what I was going to bring up. I was going to say, because the one I saw online, I'm not going to share. It wasn't an appropriate example, but it was from a movie that definitely can't endorse. But Anakin, 100% is a real evil dude if you replace Hayden Christensen with Danny DeVito.
What are you doing, Master Skywalker?
He's so much quiet, kid. So much more evil. So my question for you was, Anakin was the one I was bringing. What is a character, if you can even think of one off the top of your head, that is generally perceived to be good, and then you will realize inevitably is so evil if you replace them with Danny DeVito? Superman?
At least from Man of Steel onward.
Yes.
In the movies.
Man of Steel, Superman, replaced Henry Cavill with Danny DeVito. He's evil.
Just all of the casualties that he just doesn't care about.
Flying
through the skyscrapers.
All the people that
I'm just thinking
kills.
Any role I put Danny DeVito in, he looks like a villain.
That's the kind of the point.
I mean, but the funny thing is,
you could put him in objectively good roles, and it doesn't make the character evil just because it's Danny DeVito. He's not always played an evil person. The idea is just that he's so creepy. I mean, he is.
He's one of the nicest people in all of Hollywood.
His acting, he can do. It's like Willem Dafoe as well. They have this presence to them that they can play this creepy guy so well or whatever. If you replace...
Is it acting at that point if they do it all the time?
That's true. Is it really acting?
What's that movie about Stephen Hawking?
I don't know. Hawking? I don't know what it's called. The Theory of Everything?
Oh, yeah. I think that is it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of evil.
If you replace Stephen Hawking, the guy as Danny DeVito?
Yeah, ride around in a mechanical chair everywhere, like some kind of super villain.
I would love to see.
First of all, Danny DeVito rolling around.
Get out!
I would love to see Danny DeVito play Stephen Hawking in a movie, but I don't think that makes Stephen Hawking evil.
Dude, he looks kind of like.
It's supposed to be the things that the character does, but because they're played by an objectively really attractive man. So that's the idea. Is you have these, okay. Because of the example that they gave, which I can tell you guys off the podcast, whatever. But the example,
like Snape.
That is a good one, right? Well, I mean, I guess Alan Rickman is.
I mean, there's a big community, like the wives of Snape and
Will Smith's son in The Karate Kid.
You're just coming up with, first of all, hilarious examples of things that Danny DeVito should play. You mean Jaden Smith's character in The Karate Kid? Dude, played by Danny DeVito.
You've got this son. I know, Dad.
Dude, the kick at the end. Yeah. It's Danny DeVito kicking the ball.
How about Will Smith's son in The Pursuit of Happiness?
But Will Smith is still his dad?
Yeah.
Well, there's some questions I'd have about that. But
what's wrong with Will Smith being Danny DeVito's dad?
Yeah.
Just look.
What's wrong with that?
They could be father and son.
I guess.
Legally.
Yeah, Will Smith at the age of 35 adopted a 64-year-old Danny DeVito.
I'm Danny Smith.
Yeah, have you not seen where Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger are brothers?
Oh,
I've seen. Isn't it called Twins or something?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But they're like
I've never seen the
twins
movie.
where they put all of the bad into one and all of the good into the other. And then they
No,
separate
I don't know.
them.
I saw it online and it made me think like, wow, we've talked about Danny DeVito so much on the podcast. The idea is just like there are these characters where because they're stereotypical, such attractive men that their actions you don't think of them as evil. But then if you put Danny DeVito in their place,
Replace Aragorn with Danny DeVito. I mean, it doesn't make him evil.
No.
It's just a funny picture.
the
it is
returned
a funny
king.
The what?
The returned king.
The Returned King. Okay.
You will try. Anakin Skywalker. Don't try it, Anakin.
But that was it. I just thought it was funny to think of like
I just imagine the bad green screen effect of him jumping over.
Yeah.
And then just
Short
getting
little.
sliced up. And then he's all of a sudden
wait,
slugged. Danny
isn't
DeVito.
Aragorn the one that throws Gimli?
No, that's Legolas.
No, that's Aragorn.
That's Aragorn.
Aragorn?
So that means
because
that,
he's like, don't tell the elf.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
Because
that means-
earlier they were going to, and then he was like,
that means
no
Danny
one tosses a
DeVito.
dwarf.
Danny DeVito would have had to toss Gimli.
At the
Which the actor for Gimli is like 6 something.
Yeah.
Like he is a like very.
He's a large man.
well, they didn't use him for that shot, did they? They used the short one.
I mean, for that shot, I think that they had to use someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they obviously didn't use the real actor for the throw. It was some stunt actor who probably.
legs are really long in this shot.
What is that flapping thing? But oh, that's just his legs.
Throw me. You're taller than me.
You're 300 pounds.
I thought at the Battle of Baldur's Gate or whatever, Legolas threw him.
Baldur's Gate.
The Battle of Helm's
No.
Deep.
Helm's Deep.
No,
yeah.
it is Aragorn.
it's
'Cause he
Aragorn,
said,
'cause
he's right. He says
Legolas is on the top, and he turns because way earlier in Fellowship of the Ring, when they're jumping off of the bridges and stuff, they're about to throw Gimli, and he throws their hands off of him, and he's like, "No one tosses a dwarf." He makes the jump, and
I
then
never
Legolas
knew.
grabs him with the
Spoiler
beard.
alerts.
Oh, yeah. Sorry if you haven't watched Lord of the Rings yet.
What are these 20-year-old movies or whatever? I never.
I mean, Lexi
known.
and Mike hadn't seen it until I showed it to them.
I have not seen one.
They never even heard.
You
of
haven't
it?
seen
You
them?
haven't seen Lord of the Rings?
I have not.
Whoa.
They're
All
very
right,
good.
all right. Stop the recording.
Roll the clip. I'm just kidding.
Roll the 12-hour clip.
Real quick, we're going to roll all 3 Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah, it's just 9 hours.
Are you
of
just not
cinema?
super into like high fantasy or any of that?
I'm not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Wow.
That's really what it is. My dad's seen them. My dad has all the books. He's tried to get me to read the books, but they're books and reading, and it's something I don't do.
Yeah.
They're
They're
heavy books.
They're also kind of hard to.
I mean,
read
yeah, they're
if you're not a
they're
fan
written-
of reading at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the movies
Just
are so
because of
good.
the way that they're written.
Not a huge loss to just watch them.
Here's the thing: even if you don't, unless you actively dislike fantasy, if you don't love fantasy, I think Lord of the Rings are still are just really, really good movies. Like they're just some.
Yeah.
They happen to be probably some of the best, if not the best, fantasy movies ever made. But they're also just really, really, really good movies. I mean,
I
the
can
way they're.
also say I don't know when the last time is I watched a quote-unquote adult movie.
Oh,
Having 3 young children
I
is
was,
not.
that makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah.
I mean,
not at the point where they can watch Lord of the Rings, but
No.
well, just show them early.
What's that?
Show them early.
There we go. We did start watching the Titanic a little bit, though.
What?
With the kids?
With the kids. Well, part of it is when we were in Vegas last week.
you
yeah,
took the
last
kids
week,
to Vegas?
We did not.
That's wise.
Just the wife and I went to Vegas. It was our anniversary. Kids are not going to that.
Probably.
We went. They have a Titanic museum, and so we went. to
Oh.
And one of our kids was like super interested in it, and they went to Almsey on Saturday with my mom and dad, and they had something for the Titanic. So now my oldest daughter, who's 10, is like kind of into the Titanic.
That's
a little
cool.
more.
Yeah.
So we started watching the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it got to be
Skip that.
It got to be 10 o'clock, and it was right around that scene.
Yeah.
And so we're like, all right, time for bed.
Tomorrow we can watch Titanic
Skip
2.
past that with the next time.
Yeah,
the kids
and
are
then
watching
my
it.
wife proceeded to either watch it or fast forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess there's like 2 scenes and then maybe some words. But other than that, Titanic's just a good movie. So
Yeah.
I'm sure. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can teach your kids about death early.
Well, and it's not just that. Really, it's a piece of history.
It is.
It is.
It is.
And it's a really good representation of a piece of history.
Yeah.
That is if you believe it actually happened.
Yeah, if you believe in the tragedy of the Titanic.
I wasn't there, so of course it didn't.
Well,
happen.
Were
Did
you there?
see it happen?
Where are the photos?
Yeah.
No, actually, somebody did tell me about. Well, Lexi and Mike. No, don't get.
I mean, there.
Hang on. There's a huge conspiracy, not about that it didn't happen, about how the ship that was actually supposed to go was like a totally different ship, and the Titanic was like, drudged up out of nowhere, and they knew that it wasn't suitable.
Part of the, well, I don't know about the not suitable, but part of the other ship could have been true, because when we were there, going through the museum, there was actually a coal strike during that time. So a bunch of people that were on the Titanic weren't even supposed to be on there. They were supposed to be on 2 or 3 other boats, but those boats couldn't launch because of not having enough coal.
There, also with that, there was all of the dissenters, the people that were against like the new decentralization of the banks, of the banking system. The people that were against it all got put onto that ship, and they were all on it, and they all
That's
died.
a little suspicious.
And so there was no votes against it when the actual voting for it started.
There's a documentary that they were telling me I should watch on Amazon that's all about like why not the Titanic didn't happen, but that how the Titanic was way more of a like maybe people knew what was going to happen kind of thing.
Less romantic tragedy.
Or that like it really shouldn't have sank that way and maybe something else happened out there on the water or something like that. But
I've heard a few where it's like it was carrying arms and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't
or that like
really think.
what happened should not have caused that much damage, and maybe there's more to the story, which I mean that kind of thing is interesting.
I mean, there's also, they were like, this ship can never sink, but there was a massive design flaw. They were so close to actually having.
The design flaw was that it could sink.
Well, there was a massive like design flaw because the bottom was all segmented, but they didn't cap off anything. So once one filled, it just spilled into the next one and the next one, because it was supposed to be
segmented so that like if a hole happens,
if a hole happens, it's only this part that gets filled with water, and then the rest.
That seems like a real.
But they didn't cap off anything.
That
so
seems
it's just
like a genius.
So the front.
Well,
just
the idea seems good, but then they're just like, should we finish the work? Nah.
I mean, it took like 3 years to make as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and they didn't really have like, I don't know, but that was one of the largest design flaws with it. That's why they were toting, this can never sink because it has this new way of building, but they messed up.
Well, I get it. You're right. The Titanic did sink, but don't get me started on the Hindenburg.
Or did it?
The Hindenburg is still up there.
Oh, the humanity.
It's still up there. I've seen it.
Dude, I so wish the Hindenburg never happened.
Because if
it never
the future
blew
would
up,
live
or-
in
If
Zeppelins.
that hadn't happened, we would have gotten Zeppelins. Like
Potentially, yeah.
and
The whole thing is that Zeppelins are incredibly dangerous, so why do we want
they're
them?
not.
They're less practical
was-
than a plane.
Yeah.
It was bad because they were using hydrogen.
Yes.
But if you just switch to helium, you get rid of all of that danger, and then it
And
takes
everybody would be.
it takes
talking about
almost
it.
no.
That would be funny.
It takes
captain speaking.
it takes so little fuel.
Oh, I thought they
To
needed
fly
more
Zeppelins.
helium than hydrogen.
Well,
He's
it's
saying
not.
that, like,
I'm not
it's an
talking about
inexpensive
the
fuel.
air because
I
you
see.
would like always have that.
Yeah.
But like just the propulsion for it is would be incredibly small, and it would make long flights and things. You could have like buildings pretty much underneath these blimps.
Yeah.
So
And-
what Levi's saying is, Zeppelins, bring them back.
Yes, exactly.
Actually, yeah, I'd
They
love
would
to
be
ride on
so
a Zeppelin.
cool.
That'd be so cool. I'm
It
sure
would be
there's
cool.
somewhere they're still using Zeppelins. Like you can nowhere on the earth.
I think
I mean,
know.
there's like the what is it called?
Led
They
Zeppelin?
use the balloon
Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin.
Those
Goodyear.
wouldn't go up very
That
well.
one's
So heavy.
Hey, you can
Like-
ride the Led Zeppelin.
Like the Goodyear blimp. and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Is
Like,
that a
it's-
Zeppelin? Is it that big?
What is
mean,
the technical
'cause
difference
weren't the-
between a Zeppelin and a blimp?
Isn't the Zeppelin just way bigger than a blimp?
I mean, basically, but like the difference for
Also,
it
it's German,
is
right?
the Goodyear one is just like
Made of
for-
tires.
No,
It's made of the Michelin
It's
Man.
just for like the aesthetic and like it being a piece of. Just, it's just
People
an
don't
object
ride in
inside.
it anymore.
It's not,
It's more. It's like
it's not an actual.
I
Like,
I used to see it on like football games and things all the time. Like, oh, your sponsor Goodyear. Check out this blue. Oh,
now it's just
but I don't
CGI.
even see that. I don't even see it anymore.
Yeah, it would be cool. Although I'm just persuaded to say like it would probably still be in the same place, right?
and
Because Germany still uses airplanes.
so there was also during like that time when they were all being made, there were a lot of at least this is what I've heard. There were a lot of like Zeppelin manufacturers and balloon manufacturers that were taking some shortcuts.
Wow.
And there were things that
Conspiracy.
weren't being done correctly. And there was like catastrophic failures on both takeoff and landing because not because of like how it's supposed to be made, but because of the way that they actually were and they were actually flying it and having it with high.
I don't think it's a conspiracy to say they were doing things wrong because we have video evidence of
that
it.
it went
No,
wrong.
yeah. But like, I think it would be such a cooler world if we had Zeppelin.
I mean, yeah, the aesthetic idea of it, right? I think
It's
it'd be
more
cool if
luxury feeling.
You looked up and just this giant balloon was going through the
But that's
sky.
my favorite thing in shows when they do like multiverse stuff or something, like going to a different like future, and there's Zeppelins. That always makes me so happy. It's like, wow.
What's
It's
the
very,
speed
like-
of a Zeppelin compared to a plane?
I mean, you can get them really, really fast because you're taking them so much higher than planes.
Oh.
Because
know
you have to have air resistance for a plane to work.
Yeah.
Because without air resistance, you
Have
don't
nothing
get
to
any
slide
lift.
on. Yeah.
But as a Zeppelin, you don't. You can just go way above it and just basically no air resistance and just go.
That is so much
and then
more
you come back
terrifying.
down.
That is so much
And-
scarier to me.
Yeah, because then you're moving. Well, it would feel slower, and it's like you
But
look
there's
out
like
the window.
no
you're like,
fuel involved because there's zero air resistance where you're going. Like,
But do you think you have less
Functional.
control over a Zeppelin if something goes wrong than you do a plane?
In terms of like jerk movement,
I think if
I
things
mean, in
go
terms
wrong,
of,
you
like,
have it's much safer to
emergency
be on a Zeppelin
landings.
than on an airplane because the airplane's moving.
You
Like-
just said that the Zeppelin's moving faster though.
That it
No,
can't-
They can move pretty fast.
I'm talking. They can move quickly. They're not going to be moving as fast as jet planes, but it's about the amount of fuel is way less.
okay.
That's what I was.
I mean, like emergency landing is necessary. You're in a Zeppelin. You think it's
Can you land a Zeppelin on the Hudson River?
definitely, probably, right?
definitely probably no.
What?
I mean, I'm sure that there would be like you could like detach and just like parachute
Into a
down.
smaller
I'm
Zeppelin.
sure if they were
Like
modernized,
if it
there would be-
continued, that there would be definitely
Everyone
be, like,
gets a
Well, you know
personal
what it would be?
little Zeppelin like,
It
instead
would
of a
be-
life
You
jacket.
got your
or
own
a-
little bubble.
the
Yeah.
bottom part, right, that's being carried. If the Zeppelin like blows up or not blows up, like it needs to make an emergency landing, they detach from the balloon, wings shoot out, and then it's just a plane,
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
and then they land safely
On the Hudson, yeah.
on some person named Hudson.
on Chad's
glad
son
I-
Hudson.
I'm glad
I forgot our pastor's son.
Our pastors.
I'm glad I chose today to swim in the middle of the Hudson. I hope nothing bad happens.
People don't swim in the Hudson, I don't think, right? Isn't it one of the really dirty
I'm pretty
ones?
sure they don't.
There
which is
are
why it's
people
funny.
that do swim. In
Where
it.
is the Hudson again?
There, I saw.
New
I
York?
saw. I saw a thing that they were talking about people that like continuously swim it. It's so disgusting.
Yeah, it's one of the big city rivers.
Would that be worse than swilling in our river here though?
The Willamette.
Whoa!
Dude, don't give it away.
Now people can find us easier.
No, but
They
like
have a whole river
like,
to scout through.
I think it would be much worse the Hudson than this one.
I'm biased.
What's the river through Chicago or in Chicago or whatever?
The Mississippi.
The Chicago River? I don't know.
Chicago.
Yeah, the Chicago River. I don't know. Whatever it is, I've heard that one's really dirty. But
I mean, our river, it was like boiling.
Is our
with
river
chemicals.
that bad?
It used to be a lot worse than
Yeah, it used to be.
because there was a bunch of pollution that was just happening. Everything was dead, and it was actually like boiling.
I caught a three-eyed fish in there once.
I believe it.
honestly, yeah.
Like
Speaking of pollution, I love that there's some flies in this room right now.
Oh my gosh.
And they're all
You love
only,
that?
They're all
I love that there's flies in this room right
only
now.
attacking Levi.
Yeah, they're all over Levi.
It's so funny.
the whole Zeppelin story, he's fighting for his life against this one
Dude,
fly
this
that's landing in the
entire
middle of his
podcast,
forehead.
I've been fighting them.
It's so. I mean, a couple times one's come near me, and then it quickly just returned.
Well, flies follow beauty, like smoke.
They do.
Yeah, that's definitely what I've heard about flies.
Dude, you're the reason all the smoke is here. You're so radiantly beautiful.
That's what it is.
So, we all had church today. We're recording on a Sunday.
Except I didn't see you at church.
I didn't see any of you guys at church. But you know what? Later on, I don't know what day, but later on this week on YouTube, you can pull up my church and you'll see it.
Same.
Shameless plug.
Except the difference is he's going to be editing our churches.
Just the audio.
Yeah.
I will be singing on stage at our church.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm part of our praise team.
Oh, I didn't know
exciting.
that. I think I did know that.
What do you play?
I play the microphone. I said singing.
He said sing.
Well,
Yeah, I play the oboe while I sing.
He plays the flute while he sings.
Lift your name on high.
The didgeridoo.
The didgeridoo.
Welcome to worship, everybody. It's our didgeridoo service. No, I first wanted to ask Brice, what was the sermon about today at church?
So our pastor just started a new series
Ours too.
called 1 Minute After Death.
Oh.
And there's actually apparently a book out there that is titled that, where this guy did a bunch of research as to like what happens 1 minute after death.
Oh, okay.
And to be honest with you, I can't remember a whole lot. I'll have to actually go back and watch it. Reason being, again, I got 3 kids.
Yeah.
So 2 of them
So
were,
no excuse.
2 of them were sitting on our row with 3 of their friends, and I had to try to keep my youngest quiet most of the time, which was a lot of fun. My youngest daughter, I should say, not my youngest child.
Is it focusing on Jesus' death and why
No, it's us. It's what happens after we die.
That's interesting.
Because there was a book in high school we had to read that is titled something very similar, but it was just really cool. It was like giving proofs for like just from the text of the scriptures how it can be. We can be 100% certain that Jesus was dead on the cross, which eliminates one of the theories that
Yeah.
you know
That
his
like he
resurrection.
didn't die, that he just
That he
was like
wasn't really real.
Yeah, but the blood and water thing is a super intricate medical thing that can only happen after someone's passed.
There's one called it's not about specifically that, but it's called God's Crime Scene. And when we were in high school, we went to a seminar, like a leadership training, when I was a sophomore or a junior.
Yeah, we did that too.
And there was an author there, and he had written that book, and he talked for a while about a bunch of stuff. And it's basically just a bunch. He was a crime scene investigator way back in the day, like a really high up there detective. And his book is about why the creation is basically a crime scene. Like he looks at it like you would identify a crime scene. Forensically, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah. And, it's a really interesting book, actually. I think mine is signed by him because we got to meet him and stuff, but, it's an interesting book. And that just reminded me of it because that was one of the things, because there's a little bit of the book, I think if I remember correctly, that talks about some of the proofs, like some of the real proofs that are, present in scripture and just historically why we can know for a fact that, that Christ's death and resurrection happened. And he talks about that. That's just reminded me that he talks specifically about the blood and water thing too.
Yeah.
Well, for the 3 of us, we go to the same church and we have an afternoon service, but, there was just a really, really good message today by some random pastor,
Some random guy.
preacher that
He's not our actual pastor man.
No, I mean, right now our pastor is on sabbatical.
Yeah.
And so we've had a series of discussions or sermons on a few different preachers' favorite Psalms, and those are really, really good. But today they started a new series called Only Jesus. And so this was like the introduction sermon.
Is this series going to be preached by the same person, or is it going to be preached by like 2
I actually don't know.
Because I feel like that'd be kind of weird. Like, for example, Jerry, you start a sermon, and then Levi comes in and picks up.
Well, that's what they did
I
with the
do.
Psalms one.
But
kind
the
of
Psalms one
See, that's
makes
different
sense.
because that's more of a quote unquote opinionated sermon.
Yeah,
Like, this
yeah.
is my favorite, and here's why.
It was
And let me break
it was
down
more
for
like
you.
this
It
is
was-
my favorite
it was
song,
more
and then
episodic
they
than-
preached a sermon on that song.
Yeah. So I mean, again, that's still a little bit more opinionated.
Well, if
That's
there were
true.
any 2 pastors that could do a sermon together, it's these 2 guys. They're
That's true.
brothers-in-law. They're like
Oh,
super.
okay. Yeah.
But I actually don't know because I didn't know what we were getting into this week going there. I was pretty sure it was this series because I had seen the artwork and stuff for it and everything, but I wasn't certain who was preaching. And then finding out who was preaching today, he did a great job. Well, what I wanted to say also was, I mean, we jokingly give him a hard time and stuff, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the great thing about hearing Matt preach is we so often talk to him and are around him and stuff. Mm-hmm. So whenever I hear one of his sermons, I can pick up on things that he's been saying the last few weeks, like in Discord calls or like at D&D or something. But we talked about, I think it was last week when we talked about prayer again, we brought up that formula for prayer, right? Which is the example we have from Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I believe God can, or God is able, right?
God is able.
God will. And even if he doesn't, right? This idea that, especially in these times, or like in times of real hardship or what the sermon was about today was when there is none of you left, right? You have nothing left to give. And the only room there is left is for God, right? Just that formula of prayer. The interesting thing was just like, that was one of those examples where hearing Matt preach, and I think back on all these things that we hear him say, throughout the last few weeks. And you can tell it's because he's thinking about his sermon coming up and he's kind of like implementing it into conversation. But
it's really cool that you guys are close to your pastor like that too.
Yeah. Well, he's actually not our
your
main pastor, but yes, the cool
I'm,
thing
I'm
is
really close to my pastor.
Yeah. I think that's super important.
I've known my pastor for 31 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Wait a minute. How old are you?
31. If you do the math, he's my dad.
Oh, makes sense.
That
I was like, you can confidently say you knew him at 1? Like,
yes.
You really know this guy.
Yes, I do.
Well, I guess. They birthed you.
If you do the math, he's my dad. Because
adds up.
That actually is really important. More people should have better relationships with their pastor.
It was something that came up on the Discord.
Go ahead.
With Mikey Noodles, and there was a few other people in the conversation about it.
The baptism one recently, or
no? It was a while ago, actually. It was probably like a month or two, but no, it was just like there were some people that were like, churches should never be large enough that the pastor doesn't have a meaningful relationship with every single person in it.
I remember
like that.
That is so true, though.
Well, and the pastor's the backbone of the church, really.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can speak from like personal experience. Like the pastor is literally working 24/7.
Yeah.
Midnight rolls around, somebody calls, so you get a call, you're on your way to the hospital.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know I'd mentioned something in Discord about, and I know Jerry saw it, but the work-life balance, when you guys are talking about like, oh, I can shrink sleep and then I can work more. I'm like, why would you? Because then you have a work-life balance.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I'll let you know.
Okay. But with the pastor, their work-life balance is unknown. They have to, and my dad has said, like, he's a rubber band.
Yeah.
Stretch him all the way, and all of a sudden you let go one end and he's got to go the other way.
Yep. He's probably a great example of somebody that like puts into practice kind of what was talked about today, right? Like, I can imagine there have been plenty of times then where your dad feels very stretched thin and he just has to let God do the rest.
You got to let go and let God.
Yeah, let go and let God. No, that's actually interesting. Maybe that kind of takes the topic in a direction I hadn't expected, but I do like. I think it is safe to say that more people should probably have a better relationship with their pastor.
Yeah.
I know that in bigger, Jude and I have always kind of gone to very small churches, and this is the smallest church we've ever regularly attended. I mean, the church we went to as kids was, or like the majority of our childhood was like not more than 100 people, but on average, it could be like 80 to 120.
It fluctuated, but around 100's a good.
But this one, I mean, when we're there, it's like at most it's like, what am I crazy for saying? It's like 30 people.
That's kind of how our church is. We had about 35 today, and we're actually growing. And I've been really enjoying going to church. But I went to mega church, super big church in Texas. I've talked about it a little bit in your stream. And it was kind of cool, but like as a kid growing up, I was like, I've got my little group. That's all I need. But like now, like I enjoy the smaller church. I just wish we had more kids, obviously, for my kids. But I enjoy the smaller church because we are basically one group. You don't have your, these guys are here, these guys are over here hanging out. We'll do a Super Bowl party or whatever, and everybody's invited.
It's like the whole church is there.
It's the whole,
Yeah, I think, we've talked, it's the whole small group dynamic. It translates to so much. It's whenever I talk to somebody about where I went to high school and they ask how big my graduating class was, and I tell them 12. And then after they pick their jaw up off the floor, I explain why that's a good thing. Like it becomes, I actually was talking to somebody about it recently and I realized something. It's, for them, like most people, their high school class is like 300 people or more, or around there. Not
mine was big at 45.
Yeah, yours was pretty small. But you usually when I'm talking to people, they're like, mine was 300,
or they'll be like, mine was really small, like 50.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh wow,
that's huge.
That's the entire
50
high school.
was our entire high school.
Yeah,
and so what you realize is like the whole high school really becomes like a small class for the majority of people. And like, that is so rewarding. And I think in churches too, that is so rewarding to have that smaller group. Obviously we want to see it grow. And the ideal situation is, right, as a church grows, having more people step into positions of leadership so that people don't get lost and succumb to some of the problems that these really, really big churches have, right? Where people do feel kind of lost in like a sea of people, right? Or we've talked about this before too. You have huge churches and that can kind of, and it's not the fault of the church, but that can kind of allow people who want to kind of hide, who want to say they're going to church, but they want to hide, like
the backseaters.
Yeah.
They walk in, right as the first note starts, they walk in, hit the back row.
Yeah.
And then
right as the pastor says amen, they're out.
Yeah.
Which, to be
there's
fair,
nothing wrong with that. If there's anybody listening to this podcast, there's nothing wrong with that if that's how you are.
That's better than they're there.
That's not necessarily who I was talking about either, too. Like, I understand if there's people who they're uncomfortable with the social interaction. I think, obviously, it would be good to see them fellowship, and I think that would be a direction that they could grow in, right? I just mean more like there are people who want to be able to say they're going to church and also want to go to church, but they know that there's something in their life that's going on. They're living in sin or something, and they are more attracted to larger churches where they might be less likely to have that called out.
Or they can have their cake and eat it too.
A little bit, right? It's less likely for them to like someone to take enough of an interest in their life to be like, oh, this is going on. I should talk to you about that because it's my responsibility in the church. Whereas a really small church, people get to know each other pretty quickly and know each other well. At least they should. That's the idea.
Yeah, I think an intimate relationship with, or just the fellowship of a church, is so much greater when it's at a certain size, maybe not a mega church. And for all those good things, it makes them better. But also, like tragedy and mourning as a church is so much more powerful, I think, when you at least know every person there that's like with you. Yeah. And it's so much harder to hide when tragedy strikes in a small church because every single one of those people is calling you.
It hits everybody pretty much immediately.
You tell one person and then it's like, oh, did you hear what happened to so-and-so? And there's nothing.
And not in a bad way either.
Not in a gossip way.
As long as it's not.
I guess it can be, but
it can be. As long as it's not gossip. Like, oh my gosh, did you hear what happened to so-and-so? I'm so glad that happened to him.
But it happens.
And it happens in big churches and small churches.
Yeah. And obviously that's the kind of thing that shouldn't happen. But no, the good churches like we're talking about are the ones where pretty quickly everybody knows and everybody's dealing with it appropriately, right? Mm-hmm. And they're supporting one another. And that was a recent sermon that was talked about too by also, I think, Matt, which was suffering together, right? Mm-hmm. Like bearing each other's burdens. It was the last time he preached. It was bearing each other's burdens and the importance of being in a church where the church is supporting each other, going to each other with their burdens in their life and going to their pastor. So it's interesting. I was going to talk kind of just about the sermon in general, but when you were like, oh, that's cool that you guys have a good relationship with your pastor and then talked about yours, that is actually just, I think, a good direction to kind of take this discussion. is if you're listening and you haven't, if you have a good pastor and you haven't told them that you appreciate what they do, I think you should thank them. But also, I think you should talk to them, because it's really easy to go to church every week and like partake in it, but also be a part of it. Don't just partake in it, but be a part of it, right? And that's something that for me lately, I've really been seeing the value in getting involved. I'm really thankful that Jude was involved in this church and got me involved in it, because it really is the perfect church for me. I was kind of intimidated for a while to go because it's so small, and I was like, I was at a very different place in my life too. I didn't want to feel like people were looking at me or like, whatever. But, and when you're in that smaller environment, you can't hide as easily. Yeah. But I'm very, very thankful for this church now, being a part of it and it being in my life. Because the community that is there is phenomenal, and they love God and they put him first. And it's very, very evident every service and stuff. And when you talk to anybody there, but yeah, I think people should, you mentioned it earlier, have a good relationship with their pastor. I think people should.
It's important. It needs to be.
Should have a relationship with their pastor.
Your pastor needs to be somebody that you look up to. And the fact that, they're teaching me all these things about God. And then if you have any questions, they need to be there so that you need to be comfortable enough with them so that you can be like, hey, you brought this up in the sermon. Could you explain that a little more?
I think more often than not too, they want to do that.
Oh, they love it.
They love it.
I mean,
they love it.
That's why they're.
And you can kind of sit there sometimes too and be like, if I ask a question, they might think like
I'm stupid.
Yeah, I'm stupid, or I'm not a real Christian. That's much not the case.
They're there to help you understand and to grow.
Nothing makes a good pastor happier than when they have the opportunity to pour into somebody else's life.
So on this subject, it was really funny. I saw a interview of Oprah Winfrey.
Whoa.
Right?
Best pastor.
Good pastor.
Great pastor. No, but she has her she did have her whole TV show. They would pray
she not have
to
a show
the
anymore?
universe. No. That
did she die?
That ended a while
as
ago.
soon as the Queen did.
Did she die?
I was like, did I not hear about Oprah dying?
But the show ended years ago.
Okay. I don't watch TV.
She's had multiple, so I don't know if one's still going. Or...
I have no idea anymore.
She had her own TV channel. I don't know if she still does.
Yeah,
she had her own TV channel?
Yeah, there's the Oprah Winfrey Network.
The Oprah Winfrey Network.
Yeah.
That's still a thing.
Okay.
But anyway, she in one of the things that I had heard, she used to go to some Christian church, and she was sitting there listening to a sermon, and it was about God being jealous of his people, for his people, wanting them instead of them worshiping other gods. And she's like, wow, he's jealous, so that means he's bad. And instead of asking anyone, hey, this feels weird to me, she just left the church and then made her own thing, and then with Oprah. And
that's sad.
That's definitely a time you need to ask the pastor.
I'm confused.
That's a good example too, because there's so many words too that
because it's in the Ten Commandments,
cultural significance too. The word jealousy too has taken on new meaning as time has gone on, but also that's an important distinction that needs to be made, and people need to understand when they are confused. And so she obviously should have reached out.
And literally, if she had just reached out, or
we don't know.
I don't know the exact and what could have happened, but
there could have been also extenuating circumstances.
But according to what she was saying, that was the straw that broke the camel's back for her and her belief in God.
It's sad to hear too, then, that not only did she not reach out to her pastor, and for whatever reason, maybe she didn't feel comfortable, maybe there hadn't been a relationship.
Maybe fostered. It was a large church.
Maybe it was a really large church. So, I think the thing to take away from that too is, if you are attending a church, you have questions and stuff. You should talk to your pastor about them, and you should be. If you look up to them as a teacher, you should do that. And if you don't feel comfortable to do that, pastors, obviously not all of you, a lot of you are doing a great job, but be more engaging on an individual level. Reach out to individuals in the church.
It came up in that discussion that we were having on Discord, but with larger churches, they have elders and other teachers that are well versed in things because they know that the pastor won't be able to meet with everyone.
Right.
So there will be people to go to if you're in a church that's over 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And
there should be, right? That's what we were saying earlier.
There
As
at least
the church grows, a healthy church should see more people step up into leadership positions, right?
So there will be someone that would want to talk to you if you reach out, or at least try to.
You are
even in
never,
churches.
huh?
I said even in smaller churches.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's not just the pastor.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not just the pastor. If you don't feel comfortable going to the pastor by yourself, go to somebody and be like, "Hey, can you come with me?"
Yeah.
I want to talk to the pastor, but I don't feel comfortable about it.
And it's
and if they say no, then
so many people feel that. If they say no, so many people feel that that discomfort. And I can only imagine being a pastor, knowing that reality, right? Where there's so many people, especially too, that are either new Christians or not yet Christians, and who are interested, and they feel this pressure or this they feel intimidated because it's I've talked to Matt about this before a little bit, about how when we were all playing New World, we joined another group, another guild in the game. And for a while they didn't know, we told them before joining with them, merging our groups, because they were both really small, we're actually a group of Christians. We have a Christian server. The whole point is we're a group of Christians and stuff. They're like, oh, that's super cool. You guys, they're like, we kind of picked up on some clear differences. You guys aren't using foul language and stuff all the time. But, it was an interesting, time to get to know them. And I think Matt had talked to me a little bit about how there just were opportunities that he had to talk to them about, hey, I'm a pastor, and, to talk to them about important things. Right. And they were already at a point of comfortability, if that's a word.
Yeah.
But, because they had been hanging out with him and playing video games with him over the, course of a while. But that is really something that people who are interested in Christianity or have questions and stuff, they feel this weird, not weird, this intimidation almost, right?
Well,
and it's very normal.
Intimidating because most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, pastors go to school for who knows how long,
or they're still going to
become
school.
a pastor, or they're still going to school, and they have to do all this theological research and everything. So it can be intimidating going up to somebody who knows a lot
in any field,
in anything,
yeah,
and just be like, "Hey, so I got a question for you. Don't think I'm stupid, but here it is."
But make sure that you're able to look at the Bible and it's not conflicting with what they're saying.
Yeah,
because there will be bad teachers out there that will attempt to lead you astray, whether with ill intent or without knowing.
Ideally, right, you have maybe somebody else in your life too that you can go, hey, I talked to so-and-so about this. I'm curious, ideally, if you ask a pastor a question, they will show you in the Bible. Yeah. Right. And I think most should, and most would. Hopefully if you have another person to talk to about it, you should. Yeah. I think the takeaway is, because we're getting here pretty long, I think the takeaway here, of course, is be more engaged in your church. Talk to your pastor, talk with them, ask to meet with them and talk to them and build up that relationship so that when you have questions or you are struggling with something or you're convicted, you will be more comfortable to go to them, right? And then pastors, this isn't saying that any specific pastors are doing anything wrong, but continue to foster individual relationships with your congregation, because it makes a tremendous difference. I know it has in my life and in many others. When I felt awkward, I can tell the pastor's just going out of his way to try and make a connection with me, and I'm like, oh, whatever. But then when I really needed them, I knew that they were there because of that, and it makes a tremendous difference. So don't just partake in your church, but be a part of it. I think it's a good little sticky statement, maybe.
Find a way to serve.
And and the Bible tells us to do that, right? To serve. And I think I think more people would be surprised to find that there is joy in serving. A lot of people don't realize there really is joy in serving.
And there's a lot of good, there are good big churches, big at least in comparison to what my brother and I have been to. And there's just a more nuanced responsibility, I think, on the congregation themselves. Yeah. If you see someone sinking to throw the life raft or whatever, like there can be a very well-intentioned pastor who might miss someone, someone might slip by. Because and as a congregation member, it's your duty to say, to reach out and be that layer, that
the point of the church too is not to be like in a community where, all right, we're all here just as sheep, and here are a bunch of teachers, and it's just them, and we're just here to all be on the same level and listen while all the no. The church is an entire body, and everybody is a part of it. So, I mean, as church goers as well, it's our responsibility to lift each other up and to, like we talked about earlier, right, to share each other's burdens and to bring things to leadership that we're seeing in the congregation. So that hopefully nobody is able to just hide, in all of it. And I mean that in both ways, like somebody hiding because there's a bunch of sin in their life and they're trying to hide, but also just somebody hiding because they're embarrassed or scared or nervous, but they need something. We should be, we're the body of Christ, right? So cool. Well, it's been a really long episode, but it's been a fun one. And Brice, thank you for being here and talking with us. Yeah, it was really awesome.
Thanks for the joke.
Yeah.
That was a good joke.
I'm glad I was actually able to make you guys laugh. Was that
yeah, we're a hard...
it was the exact joke that I was thinking.
Okay.
But he still laughed.
I did still laugh because... Yeah.
Because you guys
laughed.
Not because it was a good joke.
Well, no. you got... Yeah.
No, but seriously, thank you for being here. I'm so glad that you wanted to be on, and you'll have to be back sometime.
Let us know what you think about Brice, if we should let him back on again or not.
If this episode gets a high enough rating, one of us will be randomly replaced with Brice.
Good. Yeah, I will say I do have a face for podcasts.
Oh,
there it is. The dad joke found its way in at the end. Actually, I don't know. The other one was...
Did you say daddy joke?
I said dad, but if I said daddy, I didn't mean it. What? All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. We look forward to another really fun season. It's been 2 episodes, and I'm excited for 22 more. We love you very much.
Roll the outro.
I end the program by saying, you've made this day a special day by just your being you. There's no person in the whole world like you. And I like you just the way you are.
That's a good one.
Hello, wake up. It's morning time. Get up! Got to get downstairs!
Perhaps you should lead us?
Did you try to use your illusory method?
Edvard. And your name, sir?
My name is Lumen.
Lumen? Where are you from, Lumen?
Actually use that momentum to flip him all the way back and just like boom.
I suggest we run.
Of Lauren Legend Season 1, Episode 1, premiering Friday, September 23rd. And we're so excited for you to hear it. Friday, September 23rd. Well, when you say it like that, it makes it sound like you might be here forever.